So we're in this fantastic building of hospice that I've been here for 12 years. The needs of our patients have changed over those 12 years, and to meet those needs of the patients, we have to look at enhancing our rooms, which means that we are looking at refurbishing all of our bedrooms. At the moment we have en-suite facilities in all of the bedrooms, but unfortunately they don't comply with our regulations due to moving and handling facilities. They are quite cramped at the moment. So in order to meet the regulations, disability regulations that is, we have decided that there is a need to increase the size of the en-suites. But also within the bedroom itself, the tracking hoist that takes the patient who are highly dependent from the bed space into the toilet isn't available. So we are looking at having a hoist that will take the patient directly from their bed space right in to use the toilet and showering facilities. So over the last couple of months, we've had the opportunity to come into one of our bedrooms that has been kitted out. So we call it a mock bedroom. So the clinical team have been involved very much from the beginning. And they've played around with the furniture and various pieces of equipment to ensure that it does fit in the right places. And also taking it from a patient's perspective, just to make sure that the views aren't missed. So we've moved the bed from various angles to ensure that the patient's experience is optimized throughout their stay here with hospice. The en-suites, as I've mentioned previously, had been quite small in the fact that for moving and handling patients it was a struggle. So we have been able to make that room bigger. So we've had some work carried out on the Braddon Lounge, and definitely the noise was quite evident once it started. So after that experience, we felt that it wouldn't be practical to have patients coming into our facilities whilst that work was carrying out. So we feel that we've made the right decision to move and to ensure that the patient's experience is optimized and that the work can be carried out without any interruptions from both sides, from the builders and also from the patients. So Southlands there's a unit with 14 bedrooms in it, so we're very, very lucky to be able to have that facility for our patients and families. It is fit for purpose. The bedrooms are laid out just like our rooms here, so there isn't much work to be done really there, so we will be able to move in as and when. There is minor alterations to be done. However, it is a great facilities to be able to take our patients and families. So therefore the services are not compromised in such that we can still carry out our patient care, and also therapy rooms will be relocated to Southlands so that we can offer that for the families as well.
When I started working here, I noticed, having worked in the IPU, I noticed this inpatient unit, by the way, I noticed that we had a wind that affected these doors, and also that there was, when they brought an ambulance in and brought the patients in, they were exposed to the weather. And now I understand there's going to be some changes made with a rotating door and a canopy to protect the patients. So I think it's a great improvement, quite exciting. Well, here on the island, we do have the odd inclement weather patterns, don't we? And it's quite noticeable when they bring patients in that they're exposed to that weather situation. So, and they do have to travel, the ambulance can only get for about 20 feet from the door, so the patient is exposed to a certain amount of poor weather and wind as well, because this is a windy part of the building. So I think it'll make a big difference with a canopy. It's well needed, that's for sure. As a reception volunteer, we greet a lot of patients' families and friends who come to visit the patients. And privacy is quite important. And unfortunately, sometimes it's not as private as we would like it to be. I think that's happened. We've noticed that with the Braddon Lounge. The Braddon Lounge has been redone beautifully in a very positive way, and it affords a lot more privacy for families as well as the patients, so that if they want to have a visit or they want to have a talk, they can do that quite comfortably, as well as they can in their rooms, of course. But also this is a bit exposed as you go to the rooms, the hallway, and you can see it quite clearly. There's not a lot of privacy there, and I understand with the changes in the building, there's going to be a little bit of a more privacy added to this whole area. So that should solve the problem. I think it's quite exciting that's going to happen there too. It's needed. As a receptionist, I see it all the time, and it certainly is needed. There was a situation when we were redoing the Braddon Lounge. I think they noticed that the patients weren't as comfortable with the building noise that went on, and as much as the management tried to avoid that, it was inevitable. It was going to happen. There would be distractions, and it wasn't the comfort and the privacy that we wanted for the patients. So I think the decision to actually move from the building temporarily while they rebuild the rooms, and can do it very quickly, all in one shot, that would eliminate that problem and not expose the patients to the excessive noise and the dust and the building that will go on when they redo some of the rooms and the hallway and the reception area too here. So it's important that the patients, as far as we're concerned, are comfortable and have privacy and are treated with the love and the respect that we do treat them. So I think we're all kind of ready for change. And the thing I love about the whole situation is all the consultation that management have done with the staff, with the volunteers, with the families, with the patients. All of that's been taken. They listen. Management listens here. And I think that's so important, so very important. And that's what shows. And I think you'll probably hear that from most volunteers. I know all the volunteers I've talked to are extremely proud of the way this has been handled. So we're looking forward to it.
So when patients come into the inpatient unit, they might come in with a variety of symptoms. It might be pain, breathlessness. So as a rehabilitation team, we're trying to help these patients to become as independent as possible once their symptoms are a little bit better managed. And then we start to look at improving mobility and helping that person to get back home if that's what they want to do. We're going to create an independent living suite, which will be a self-contained flat. So we're going to take 2 of the bedrooms and make them into a lounge, kitchen, bedroom and bathroom, so that patients can make that difficult transition from the inpatient unit where they receive 24-hour care to going back home where that care might be more patchy. So it will help to give patients and their carers and their families confidence to go back home knowing that they can manage. So it could be that before they go home that they will spend 24 to 48 hours in the independent living suite, where they will have the equipment that they will have when they go home. So we will try and replicate the exact environment that we have, or that they will have, and we will try to replicate the care package that they will get. So if that patient is going home and having care for 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening, then that's what we will try and replicate here. And then we will encourage the staff to leave the patient and the family or the carers in that environment to see how they get on. And if there are any problems, then that can be highlighted before they go home. They can see how they got on overnight, they can see how they got on at meal times, getting up, having a shower with the equipment that we're going to give them. So it's a safe but separate environment for them to try out to see how they're going to manage when they get home. The staff will be around at the end of a bell, but kitchen staff, volunteers, rehab staff, nursing staff will be encouraged to leave the people in that area so that they can manage the condition themselves, and they're enabled to self-manage everything that's going on in their life from that point. There'll be a fair amount of disruption while we create the step-down facilities and while the rest of the renovations are going on hospice. So as a rehabilitation team, we will be seeing the patients who are in Southlands, in the Southlands area. The outpatients will be seen in the hospice building somewhere, just not entirely sure at the moment. So the fatigue and breathlessness service, the acupuncture service, the fatigue and breathlessness follow-on service, stress management, all these outpatient services that we provide will continue while the renovations are going on. We're hoping that we can continue with the drop-in physical activity sessions as well, and to see the patients within the day unit, wherever that environment might be within this building.
At present, our therapy rooms are on a busy thoroughfare of the hospice building, and despite people's best intentions to reduce noise whilst in the area, inevitably there is some disturbance which isn't really conducive to the relaxing experience that we aim to provide. The feedback that we receive every day from the patients and their loved ones accessing therapies such as aromatherapy, massage and Reiki demonstrates how important they are in supporting them through difficult times and in managing symptoms. Often described as a haven or a peaceful bubble, providing deep relaxation and restoration. So to enable us to improve our service users' experience and enhance the healing environment, our therapy rooms will soon be moving to a quiet, peaceful area of the building, which will be refurbished to bring a sense of calm and with their comfort in mind. During the refurbishment period, we will continue to operate in a flexible way from multiple venues if need be to maintain our service and continue to provide the best of care.
So at the moment, we have 2 children in today and they are doing arts and crafts. They're currently painting. Normally we do a lot of messy play on the dining room table. We do things like Play-Doh, painting, and we have lots of little projects that are going on throughout the year, which is really fun, and we like messy play a lot. So in Rebecca House, we like to have a family feel. So at dinner time and at lunchtime, we all sit around the dining room table and all eat our lunch together. So that's patients and staff. So when we are doing arts and crafts, when it comes to lunch or dinner time, we have to then clear all our paints, all our drawings, everything away, which can mean that we have to do a lot of quick cleaning up, and have to put all our pictures and all our projects on the side, which means that we don't have much space. So if we had our own messy play area, we could leave all our pictures, all our projects on the side to let them dry and have our own space for eating. So the Dream Room is one of our most popular rooms in Rebecca House. The problem is that we have at the moment, because of its size, we struggle to bring in beds. The door frame is not big enough for that. We are able to bring in a wheelchair, but usually it's about 1 wheelchair. So there's not much space for us to do a lot of activities in here. If we had a bigger room, it would mean that we could have more children in here. We could possibly bring in a bed as well. So if there's any children that are in for end of life, they're able to use this facility. It would be really appropriate if we had doors that lead to our garden. At the moment, it takes us quite a bit of a journey to go back into the garden outside. If we had children in for the likes of end of life, we would be able to then bring the beds outside if it's a nice sunny day. While we are still going through this change, we're going to make sure that all our families are getting as much care and respite as we possibly can. These will be happening within different venues and within the community. We hope that once the refurbishment has been completed, that the families will get an even more wonderful experience.
So the Young Person Support Service at Hospice offers bereavement and psychological support to children from birth to 21 years of age, whether they've got an illness themselves or whether they have a relative who's on the adult hospice caseload or has been, or has a sibling who's on the Rebecca House caseload. So Jade's Place is the dedicated counselling room that we use at hospice. It was really kindly donated. All of the room was kitted out by Oscar's Dreams and Remember Jade. And that was in memory of 2 young people who sadly died who received services through hospice. And Jade's Place is, I always say, it's like Aladdin's treasure trove to any young people that come in to use the room. It's got everything that you can imagine that you would need to use within sessions. There's lots of arts and crafts, there's lots of puppets, there's toys, there's books, there's everything that you can imagine, and it's a very comfortable, safe place for young people to come and receive support. So we're really lucky to have Jade's Place at hospice, and as the service has grown and the volume of young people that we see has increased, the space that we've got now, we need more space basically. And so with the new Jade's Place, we're going to have a much bigger room. We're going to have a divider down the middle so that we can have it as one large space, or we can actually split it in two to have two smaller spaces for therapy as well. So the increase in space with the new Jade's Place will mean that we can have many more children in the space together. So when we run our young person's drop-in days, we can ensure that we're providing services to more young people at any one time. So whilst building work is happening at Hospice Isle of Man, we will be making provisions for alternative arrangements for places where we can provide support for young people. We already do a lot of support within schools, which will continue, and we'll be providing alternative arrangements.